Welcome to Fort Fritz, your one-stop for news, current events, and all forms of entertainment relating to the paranormal, the supernatural, the Fortean, and things that go bump in the night, all packaged and presented in the form of know-nothing know-it-alls entertaining the unknown. Hello, I'm your host, Fritz, and for the next hour, we are going to be running through stories from our Fort Fritz Campfire Tales channel on the iHeartRadio app. Up first, a lively conversation regarding cannibalism written by Mandaddy regarding Armin Meiwes, the Rottenburg Cannibal. This one is intense, so listener discretion is advised. And for the complete version, all you have to do is download that iHeartRadio app and search Fort Fritz.
You guys ever heard of Armin Meiwes?
I don't think so.
No.
Unless... No.
Is it a cat?
Well,
Because then, yes. If it was a cat, I would say yes, but I'm pretty sure you're talking about that person.
in March of 2001, 42-year-old computer engineer Armin Meiwes had a hankering he just couldn't satiate. So he turned, like so many do, to the internet. So on an online billboard, he posted a simple ad. Some looked for love, but what he was looking for was a little bit more. The ad read, looking for a well-built 18 to 30-year-old to be slaughtered and consumed. Now, a number of people actually responded,
Yeah, that's vague.
but eventually backed out.
Yeah, eventually?
Yeah, well, once they figured out that it's like, oh, this is for real, this isn't on some cosplay, fun,
Does eventually mean, like, just to be clear.
When he gets the knife out and he starts sharpening it, like,
when he brings out a shotgun and some A1.
How far do you get?
Even initially, just like being like, are you planning on eating me? Yeah, you are? Never mind, I'm out.
well, I like how like upfront and cool he is about it. Like he let several people. He's not a murderer, right? He's like, look, I
He
only
is
want to
a murderer.
no, only if they want to be murdered. Like he's a consumer.
I'm pretty sure that murder doesn't...
He never pressured anyone to do anything they
right?
didn't
He
want to
let
do.
several
Wait.
people back out.
Yeah.
Is there like consensual murder? Like, can you just like?
It's a legal gray area.
Also, the great name of like a new up-and-coming this fall on ABC, Legal Gray Area. That's a good show name.
Of course.
It's like Dr. Williams.
Right.
We just don't know where you're going with this.
David Wolf presents.
So then on March 9th, the ad was answered by Burned Brands, who, as chance would have it, was looking for someone to kill and eat him.
Well, sure, right? Because like people go onto dating websites with the furry or furriette, right, or slave master mentality. So sure, this is just one of myriad sexual fetishes.
Well, and I'm sure there was probably like I wasn't gonna go on the Weird Cannibal website that day, but
Right.
you know what? I was like I stayed home from work. And
It's
I was
kids.
It warms the heart.
What was the guy's name?
Oh, which one?
The guy who wanted to be eaten.
Burned, B-E-R-N-D.
Right, I
name
was.
was Burned?
Yeah, I was. His
Burned.
name was Burned.
Burned, B-E-R-N-D. They're
All right.
German. They got weird names.
Yeah.
So actually, Armin actually admitted that he had been fantasizing about eating people since the age of 8. So he'd been, waiting to get down on some people meat. So they set up a video camera and filmed the incident for 4 hours.
Oh.
Now, for Byrne to get into the mood, he swallowed 20 sleeping pills and half a bottle of schnapps.
Holy
He's not worrying about the hangover. He's not worrying about the hangover, so
True,
go for the
true.
schnapps.
Like
It's tasty.
over-the-counter sleeping pills. Does
Probably.
it say? Or,
Oh, I'm sure it was.
like like Restall or whatever.
Yeah,
Those German ones though, like those
They'll
real
get you.
ones. Yeah.
Again, my name is Fritz, right?
Das Sleepensteinen.
It's
Nacht Aid.
Yeah, there you go.
Sleeping now!
we're all going to hell.
Schnell sleep.
So what was first on the menu, you ask?
Butt.
No, you'd think. Why not go with the butt first, just to make it exotic,
I would go like, what are these things? Like a
Deltoids?
Goldberg's. Yeah, these
Deltoids.
things. This thing
Deltoids
right
is
here.
a shoulder. Oh,
brace it?
trapezius.
Yeah.
Trapezius.
Oh,
yeah.
Points to Angela.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes,
Thank
points.
you.
I get that.
I used the pro
Brad Pitt
version.
Fight Club muscles.
People, okay, so my first guess would be people say on like animals, the tenderloin is considered like the most
So
prized
along
part.
whatever
So
the
like
back.
along the back, so like the rhomboids or something like that.
Is that along the
It's a lo-
spine?
But
Yeah,
underneath the working muscles.
Correct.
Right,
yeah,
yeah.
it's like that's like
That's the good.
cheeks because everybody says the cheeks are
Cheeks
good.
are tough though.
Cheeks are good.
They're like fatty and like succulent.
You just hung out with this dude for 4 hours drinking schnapps, and then you're gonna cut his cheeks off. Like you want to start with something like lower on the
yeah,
body.
Exactly.
Oh, because there's a reason cheeks taste good.
Are we actually talking about this?
Yeah. So, all the things you mentioned sound like they would be delicious.
Of course.
I agree that they'd be absolutely wonderful, but of course they went with the penis. Went straight with
Why?
the penis.
Why is
Straight-
that?
Why wouldn't you? You'd be crazy not to. It's right there. You're looking at it all day.
Again, going
All day.
the idea for him to immediately go to the penis is, again, fetishizing.
Okay.
Or he's like a psychosexual.
They're sexualizing the
psychopath,
cannibal
like a
thing,
sexual
right.
psychopath. Yeah, right.
They did have sex before they did this, by the way.
They did?
They did have sex before
Okay.
this.
Well, then
That's-
there you go. Yeah.
That's how they
new
started
level.
the
You
evening.
don't have sex with your meat
Was
before
that
you
in
eat
the
that.
So wait. Was that also part of the ad?
No.
I bang you and then I eat
I knew that I eat you, and not in quotes like eat you.
Not even in that
No,
order
like-
necessarily.
Yes, you can bang me too. Totally cool. Still gonna eat you. Originally, Burnt wanted Armin to his penis, but was unable to. He wasn't able to. He couldn't. He tried, but he couldn't do it.
Wait, was this a penis? Like, what was the status?
After
of
20
this?
sleeping pills and a bottle of schnapps, I'm guessing not.
I'm
and
just
not
wondering.
from personal experience.
I'm just wondering.
Like when you get like a corgi with the rope toy and they're just like, they're like pulling back.
I would imagine.
Get it, boy. Get it.
I would only hope.
This is rough.
Okay, so he was unable to bite the guy's. So he cut it off with a knife.
At least he
Now-
put him out of his misery.
What's your facial expression after failing to do something like that? Like you gotta go get the knife. He's like, no,
Sorry, dude.
It's so heartbreakingly sad, though, that this guy would allow himself to be
right.
killed.
That would be my question. Like, why? Like, what's wrong? What's wrong with the meat? Like, what do you have?
Or you think that he's like up to something nefarious
What-
in letting himself be eaten?
Yeah.
This will show him.
You like put your hands down and go, there are days and there are days.
You can't even get like a good couch for free on Craigslist. Some dude's willing to like give his entire life and body to you to just like whatever.
Have you ever tried to? It seems like it'd be a little more difficult than one would assume.
Seems like it would be tough.
Yeah, it seems like a little bit of work there, you know? Armin was describing, said he couldn't because it was too chewy. Just little,
Lord.
it was kind of toothy.
You ever had a sugar daddy? I'm talking about the candy.
Yeah, no,
it's,
like I thought it was
yeah.
sugar baby.
It's both.
The babies were the little like droplets, but the sugar daddy was the
the
bar
big-
on the
the big
stick.
one?
So we're
That was
actually
like-
eating an entire family.
Sugar
If
baby,
you got a
what was
sugar
a sugar
baby,
mama?
there had to be one. I'm sure you're eating the entire
Probably,
family,
that
you
makes
know?
sense.
Sugar grandma.
So is that
Sugar Meemaw.
It's just brittle and falls apart as you eat it.
Exactly. It's like a hard toffee.
dust inside a plastic package?
Just misshapen and wrinkled.
You will always find 5 $1 bills in your wallet later.
All you have left is good memories.
Thanks, Sugar Meemaw.
And, like yellow cellophane wrappers. Ugh.
They'll spend that all in one place.
So it's time to truly take a ride into Flavortown. So Armin sauteed the member in a pan with salt and pepper, wine, and garlic.
That was exactly going to be meat preparation is about technique. You know what I mean?
And this
you
is
can't
where he
just
took
be
it too far. That right there would have been fine. Then he fried it using some of Burns' fat.
Wait, did he? So
It's going
did,
overboard. It's
Cut
watching
off-
a lot,
cut
watching
off
a
some
lot of
ass
Bravo,
meat.
a lot of Top Chef, a little too much arugula like that. You know
so
what I mean?
did he saute it with wine? You said
Yes.
white wine or red wine?
I think he was a honky, so I'm guessing it was a Chardonnay.
Okay, but then like putting ass meat in there with it.
Well, but he used some of his own fat. So he used some of
So like ass fat. You
Probably
think,
a
you
little
think it was from the
ass
ass
fat.
fat?
Can you imagine their faces on Iron Chef? The secret ingredient this week is this guy.
And then everyone's got to run up and go get a piece.
Flopping all over the
Just running
place.
around.
As they're running away, who died in 1998? Oh God!
Oh, cool.
God!
Out of arm's length.
Okay, so if he used his own ass meat, which we can only assume,
I'm just assuming it was
right?
ass meat. Yeah.
Okay, but a lot of cannibals have said that is a very succulent meat.
If that's the case,
Ass meat?
that's the case because
Ass
I'm an
meat, yes.
entire buffet of deliciousness back here. If that's the truth, because
You got a big ass?
are you kidding?
A butt
Have
fay.
you seen this
A
thing?
buffet.
What'd you say?
A buffet.
Butt fay.
It's exactly
All
what
you
it
can eat.
Points.
But after sauteing it in the fat, it became too burnt, so he chopped up and fed it to his dog.
Oh,
Cuz, come on.
Was Burns still alive during that? You're like, dude, you're wasting it. Like, come on. Like,
I think
take
he's
a
gone
dog.
by this time.
Ugh.
And also, according to court officials, some say that Brand tried but was too weakened from blood loss, which is the saddest part of the story, really.
Aw.
So after that culinary adventure, Armin drew a bath for Brands, and while he slowly bled out in the bathtub, Armin read a Star Trek book.
Which one?
I don't know, but every account I read mentioned it was a Star Trek book. What a freak.
Like out loud or to himself?
I think just to himself, kicking back. You just want to kick back to a Star Trek novel.
Okay, so is this guy in jail, Armin?
Oh, yes.
So that's illegal.
Yeah, it is.
Right.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Even in Germany.
Oh, yeah. So the guy didn't go peacefully. He hopped out of the bathtub a few times and passed out and kept on going in and out of consciousness. So Armin finally just ended him with a knife to the neck, took his body, and hung it on a meat hook. That's what you do.
In his apartment?
Yeah. And then he proceeded to eat the body over the course of about 10 months.
10 months?
Yeah, consuming a total of about 44 pounds of long pig, as they call it.
Wait a minute. Did he, salt it? Did he chop it up and freeze
He had a freezer with a false bottom.
Oh, that's nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
Well done.
Yeah,
Smart. He did his research.
That's a pro.
Food safety is important when eating people.
Absolutely.
It's like nothing's worse than getting people tummy. It's just like a little bad people tummy. So he described his first official meal of people as an elegant affair. Quote, I decorated the table with nice candles. I took out my best dinner service and fried a piece of rump steak, a piece from his back, from which and then I made what I call princess potatoes and sprouts.
What are princess potatoes? I want to know.
I really want to know. What's this guy's recipe?
They're probably really good, too. That's the problem. It's going to be this awesome potato recipe that we get off of Cannibal.
And then you're going to die for some ass.
With dude back ass.
It just pairs perfectly.
After preparing the meal, I ate it.
Right.
The first bite was, of course, very strange. It was a feeling I can't really describe. I'd spent over 40 years longing for it, dreaming about it, and now I was getting the feeling that I was actually achieving the perfect interconnection through his flesh.
Gross.
The flesh tastes like pork,
Double gross.
but stronger.
Yeah. So
Strong pork.
all you guys out there eating pork, I have no idea. I haven't eaten pork
It's
in
amazing.
so long.
It's so good.
I had some Sunday.
Not bad.
So you guys are digging this story?
Bacon?
Or?
No, but bacon is so good.
This
And
is
if humans taste like that, God, I'm going to be so horrified.
I feel like if
How am I
you
gonna
salt
find-
and
yeah,
smoke
no.
fatty pieces of people, it would taste like bacon. That's just salt and smoke and technique, dog. That ain't the pork.
That's just good science.
So he was finally apprehended on March 10th, 2002, when an Austrian student tipped off the police after seeing the online ad. So he was deemed fit to stand trial and convicted of manslaughter in 2004 and retried for murder a year later. He was found guilty and sentenced to life in prison in 2006. So,
You're listening to Real Radio 104.1.
Fort Fritz on Real Radio 104.1.
Welcome back to Fort Fritz, right here on Real Radio 104.1. We're going to jump into a mythical cryptid creature. This one's odd and confusing and also scary as all heck. It's the Hellhound of Mons. You can download the iHeartRadio app and just search Fort Fritz and Fort Fritz Campfire Tales. We hope you enjoy.
Have you guys ever heard of the Hellhound of Mons?
No, I haven't.
All right, so this account was first published in a story in 1919 in the a evening edition of the Ada News, which was a local Oklahoma newspaper. The story was an account from F.J. Newhouse, a Canadian war veteran, about the mysterious beast that shadowed the barbed wire along the edge of no man's land during World War I.
And no man's land, for my edification, is what?
So, no man's land is basically the area between the trenches of the opposing enemy lines that both sides would
Where the boom
claim
boom
to,
happens.
they would claim to own, but nobody would go out there because they were fearful of what would happen. I mean, typically these areas were highly fortified with yes.
So it's like killing fields, basically.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
if
what
you
it-
walk in, so it's
World War I
It's
was
a
the
legit
first
no
time
man's
that
zone.
modern idea of the machine gun was used, the first time that chemical warfare was used, the first time that
mechanized
landmines
killing.
were really used. Yes.
also
Like-
planes, right? I think BMW was an airplane
yes,
manufacturer.
they were. Yeah.
war is weird, man.
It really is.
It really is. Okay, I'm going to get all my young people, and I'm going to tell them to go in this trench, and you get all your young people on that trench because we want that area, and you want this area, and so we're just going to have our young people shoot each other.
Deal.
Done. Wow.
Just stupid as
That's
that.
basically what happened.
So, No Man's Land was also, the area was basically cleared by mortar shells. There was deep holes. There was dugouts of people trying to get entrenchments to gain ground. It was littered with barbed wire across all of it. And definitely, like I said, it was heavily fortified on either side of the line with weapons that would just tear through any sort of opposing army.
So there were reports of this something like slinking around in this area, a beast.
Well, to quote Mandaty, let me school you.
Ooh, I like it.
So, where they were fighting, the Battle of Mons was one of the first battles in the World War I. Basically, it was the first clash between the British and the Germans of World War I. And this was in central, southwest Belgium, below Brussels, below the capital. And this incident basically starts with the patrol of 5 men, one Captain Yeskis, and 4 men of the London Fusiliers. A fusil is a light flintlock musket. And
okay.
Basically,
right.
so embarking on this mission into No Man's Land.
So
for
it was
patrol.
like light infantry.
Yes, light infantry. Very, very small squad going out into No Man's Land.
All right.
Let's go kill these guys.
They disappeared.
Nice.
Which was nothing unusual considering.
It's at war.
It's
Yeah.
war.
Sure.
Exactly.
What happened? They didn't come back. Oh, that's what usually happens.
But the terror began to spread when what happened next. The bodies were discovered several days later, and their throats had been torn from their necks. Their bodies were covered in large gaping tooth marks, and they were mauled, some to the point of unrecognizable. No one could identify their corpses. And shortly after that, one night, both sides' troops, both the Germans and the English, reported hearing a monstrously loud, demonic howling, almost inciting some of the troops to try and retreat from the front lines of this battle.
Pussies.
And over the next 2 years, scores of men lost their lives to going out on patrol through No Man's Land, with corpses piercing as before. They were gutted, they were mauled, their throats were torn by force. The reports of the screams from either faction suggests that the creature itself had no preference to which side it was. It wasn't fighting for one faction.
Oh, okay.
It would just kill indiscriminately, basically.
And that's all we can ask for.
Yeah, that's
So both sides,
not
just
a
be
politically
even-handed.
motivated.
Yeah,
race.
I like bipartisan
Right.
killing.
so both sides suffered fatalities. Oh,
Yes, they
casualties.
did.
Okay.
Yes. And the roars and howls, they persisted and they occurred more often, further terrifying those who were hidden in the trenches on either side. As soldiers posted on sentry duty began to give eyewitness accounts of a large, slinking, hulking hound that was roaming the perimeters of the barbed wire.
There's a lot of giant wolf things going on tonight.
Yeah, it seems like that. I noticed that
That's
myself.
F***ed up theme, man.
Well, and then one day it just stopped.
Okay.
And no further people died after 2 years
And that's it. Okay, so what
of
do you have to
mounds
talk
and
about?
mounds of body. But the story gets weirder. It gets way more spooky from here.
Of course it does.
F.J. Newhouse insisted on the authenticity of his story and the beast in question. So, quote, the death of Dr. Gottlieb Hochmuller in the recent Spartakian riots in Berlin has brought to light facts concerning the fiendish application of this German scientist's skill that have astounded Europe. For the Hound of Mons was not an accident, a phantom, or a hallucination. It was the deliberate result of one of the strangest and most repulsive scientific experiments the world has ever known. That's a direct quote from F.J. Newhouse.
Get out of here.
August
Shut the front
1919
door.
edition of
We
the
already did.
Oklahoma newspaper. So, the experiment that he's talking about involves the aforementioned doctor searching extensively throughout all of the land in mental asylums for a man that had been driven completely insane by his hatred for the country of England.
Wow.
And when he found the perfect candidate, the doctor then proceeded to create a new bioweapon at the behest of the German government by removing the insane man's brain and transplanting it into the body of a scientifically enhanced body, bigger, stronger, faster, just like a...
Yes,
like
I would
a-
watch this
really?
series on Hulu, totally.
It was like a head transplant.
into the body of a Siberian wolfhound.
This is tight.
Really?
Putting a crazy man's brain into a Siberian wolfhound.
What
which
could
on-
go wrong?
On the large side, they were saying that a normal one would be around 105 pounds and 3 feet tall. It's a very large dog. It looks similar to the shape of a greyhound, but much more muscular.
right.
But if it was scientifically enhanced, this thing could be
anything.
5-6 feet tall.
We're talking about a super dog.
Weapon K9.
Have you guys seen like cane corsos?
Oh, yeah.
The Romans, they looked like small tanks, all muscle. The Romans would put armor on it and would have it charge like advancing like enemies.
Why don't they just get armadillos?
But they're like 7 feet tall, like on their back legs, and they look like steroid bulls.
That's why.
Damn.
Yep.
Anyhow, they said that this new creature was then ruthlessly trained to hunt British troops on the battlefield, and
How
then
do you
was
train a
released.
crazy dog hybrid?
I don't know, man.
What do you
This is
feed
just-
it
I'm just
as
telling
like
you the
positive
story.
reinforcement? Like, here's a English baby. You know, I mean, what do you do?
A pocket full of treats.
So, anyways, they trained this creature to hate the British and kill them on the battlefield. And then
You
they released
really
it.
need to be trained to hate
I'm
the
jumping
British.
right back into the story. I'm jumping back in, man, Daddy.
Do it, Nick Spry. Do it.
So they released it into no man's land, and the Germans obviously didn't think that this thing was going to turn on them and kill their own soldiers.
What? Okay, yeah.
But it did.
Yeah.
And so the rumors spread that even that the scientist had made his fur and skin impervious to gunfire, to bullets.
Oh.
Like a
And
Luke Cage
that
wolf.
his emotions
Wow.
had been manipulated and enhanced to increase his hatred with chemicals.
Just got him liquored up, sauced up.
So it's like just strictly tequila.
It's a drug-induced hellhound. What could possibly go wrong?
I don't know.
This is the best story ever.
Yeah, no, this is great.
But there is no evidence of the doctor's existence or of Captain Yes's.
Son of a bitch.
Then none of it has been purported, nor have any of Newhouse's claims been substantiated. And yet, none have been denied.
Exactly. It's like the CIA.
And no one knows what really happened with the Hellhound of Mons.
I love it.
That was awesome.
love it.
That's
Like,
a great story.
That's a great story because it's like there's almost romance behind it. Like it killed everybody.
What
but
the hell is your idea of romance?
It's like a lake house with
Well, why
Sandra
do you
Bullock
stay away
and
from your
Keanu
house on
Reeves. And like a
Valentine's
giant.
Day?
It could still be out there.
Yeah, it's like a Frankenstein, like a World War I flavored Frankenstein. He was like created for a purpose, but like, he didn't really understand it, so he just killed everything. Like he didn't realize it was only supposed to be English people. And also, like, don't put it past the Germans to do some like weird, funky shit like that, right? Like, don't immediately discount it just because it sounds really off the wall.
Never discount weird, funky German shit.
Yeah, no.
You're listening to Real Radio 104.1.
Fort Fritz on Real Radio 104.1.
Welcome back to Fort Fritz. Fritz here with you. This next story is very peculiar because it involves something that a lot of people think is absolutely terrifying, and that's cults. Cults and any kind of mind control. This one in particular is the Superior Universal Alignment Cult. This one was written by Kaz, and you can find it on the iHeartRadio app. Just download it and search Fort Fritz or Fort Fritz Campfire Tales.
I actually, this is actually reminding me a lot of the Superior Universal Alignment.
The thing you were talking about reminded you of something?
Yes.
No, not you.
You
On behalf
see,
of
exactly.
you.
This one's not getting it.
He doesn't get it. He doesn't.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's going to be a problem.
We don't.
Hopefully, this story will help you understand.
Thank you.
We don't want to.
Listen, we is not a pronoun that exists in this plane.
Thank
all
you.
right?
Thank you.
Well, that's
Doesn't
what
exist.
it does on this plane. We exist on this plane.
Nope.
Let me tell you about this Superior Universal Alignment cult. Started by a Miss Valentina de Andrade, which is Argentinian in origin. Sounds Italian, but the woman is from Argentina. She's Argentine.
Argentine.
Yeah, it's like a fruit.
So sweet Argentine plum.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of tangy.
So Valentina was around 1981, was starting to gain prominence in a very remote part of the Amazon jungle in Brazil as a clairvoyant. And she was providing, I guess, eerily accurate readings for local people regarding situations they were having or the future or whatever. She was the local seer of that place in the Amazon, which is the Amazonian town of Altamira.
High lookout, right? Pretty much like
there you
high.
go.
High view. Top
High view,
view.
yeah.
Look at you with the big
Overwatch.
brain.
But so that would be in Spanish, which Brazilian, Portuguese.
How weird. Oh, well, okay, I thought you said Argentina.
Well, she is Argentinian, but this took
Oh, this
place in
is
the
Brazil.
Amazonian
Oh, okay.
area of Altamira.
Okay.
Valentina began basically in 1981 claimed to have had a breakthrough revelation that she had been contacted by extraterrestrials, and they had given her exclusively this divine knowledge about how to escape the impending destruction of Earth that was going to take place in 1989.
It's always that.
Wow.
It's always that. They've always got a good specific date.
It's a good like motivational tool. You go around and tell people like, hey, none of this matters anymore. Do what I say. And enough lost people are probably going to fall in line.
That exact line of thinking, though, makes people go, no, none of this really does matter, and then they end up dying, which kind of like goes into that psychology of you, God, what is it called when you make something happen?
Self-fulfilling prophecy?
Thank you. Self-fulfilling prophecy. So if I were to tell someone, hey, look, give away all of your money, it doesn't matter. You might be dead in a couple months, a couple years, or you might come back from that. But if you believe that, that's exactly your reality.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Nostradamus predicted the day of his death. I'm like, well, that's pretty easy to do if you're
if you
willing
decide,
to commit.
if you write your death in a planner,
And then-
and kind of like make motions to kill yourself that day, it's probably going to happen.
Good chance.
6 a.m., buy sheet cake. 7 a.m., dead.
Right suicide
Dead.
note.
Yeah.
That's a good way to go.
Sheet cake.
Leave
Yeah.
a cake for whoever finds you, right? Like, not make it such a terrible thing. Like,
Hey, I'm dead, but here's cake.
here's a cake. Like, use it for the, whatever. Like,
Do you leave it in the fridge and leave a note that's like, look in the fridge?
You know how long it's going to be.
it's like a super 70 kind of note to get. Like, do I even want to look in the fridge? Like, what the f***'s in the fridge?
What's in the fridge? What's in the fridge?
They open it up.
Go
and
look in the P.S. Go look in the fridge.
I would never open that damn fridge. I'd be like, no, not opening the fridge.
Okay. So Valentina also wrote a book, which I like. I enjoy the title of this book. God, comma, the Big Farce.
Nice.
So she basically, the crux of her message was that people needed to shed the negative energies of life in order to be buoyant enough to get on the spaceship to go to, whatever place that they were going to go after Earth was destroyed in 1989. So part of that gospel was to leave your children behind. Children were a source of negative energy, which we can all agree is a thing. And they needed to cast aside their children so that they could be lifted into the spaceship.
You're free-range kids now.
So she got several people to do this, and I don't know if there's an exact number on.
I think they just hated their kids.
I mean, that's another good.
You hate your kids? Join our cult. We got it.
That's another good motivational tool, right? Yeah,
Probably,
the world's gonna end, and also you don't need kids. Like, oh, this dude's got a good package. This is a good pitch, sir.
He's got it all. Checking all the boxes.
what a crazy mindset to just look at this life that you've created and just say, like, if I had one sandwich, I'm eating all of it. Like thinking of this child as like, it's holding me down. I got to get rid of my children.
Oh yeah,
like
we're throwing all this out. No more mortgage. No more kids. No more car payment.
That's it. Like,
I'm going out into the Amazon. Valentina's got the answer. Again, the one of the core pillars, sort of casting aside your children, but more specifically that children, for some reason, Valentina wouldn't share with other people that children born after 1981 were especially evil and needed to be cast off immediately and didn't need to be around anyone. And even more specifically, boys born after 1981.
Ooh.
They were evil, as she put them.
Kind of agree.
yeah.
I can
kind of
see
agree.
that. Yeah, I mean, I can see that.
Yes.
1981 through 1989, she had a pretty successful cult following, and there was just sort of people leaving their families behind and going to kind of get ready for 1989, which is going to be the end of days.
Good for her.
Right?
Yeah.
So far, not too terrible. But in 1989, it comes and then it goes, right? And then we're into 1990, and there's then the members of the cult have to kind of reconcile what they've done with this like doctrine of what they thought was going to happen, and what they came up with was that they hadn't lived their lives to the fullest. They hadn't done enough to get on this spaceship to leave Earth, and that they needed to purge more evil from Earth. To get onto the spaceship.
What do they define as evil? What did they kind of take as like, oh, well, that's okay, and no, that's bad. Don't
being
do that.
born after 1981 as a male was enough to be evil.
Okay. That
So-
answers my question. That theory checks
when
out.
were you born, Cass?
1986.
Checks out.
It makes sense.
Yep.
I wouldn't
The
say
math,
I'm evil. I'm just like, I don't really care. So between 1989 and 1993, 19 children disappeared and 5 corpses were found.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, it took a dark turn, didn't it? You're all chuckly. The crimes were horrific. We're not going to go into the details. You can look it up if you want to. But
we'll be getting into that later.
Yeah, it was. There was
you
some
want horrific. Hold on.
Some very horrific things that were done to these boys, and I guess one thing that I will share is that apparently they were used for harvesting of certain organs to be sold to a black market dealer, and this was part of how they were sort of generating funds for this cult.
Wow.
Yeah, so you can get rid of half of a liver, or a part of a liver. You could at least get rid of one kidney.
I'll give you a kidney and a pinky.
Isn't that crazy?
This is nuts.
That's insane.
We need to cut this out.
Thinking of it like that.
Well, every church needs an organ player.
Yeah.
So most of the children were, identified as indigent or previously missing, etc. But one boy actually escaped. His name was Juan de Clay Pinheiro. He was 9 years old, and he escaped and actually managed to name several of his attackers and prominent members of the cult, and arrests were made. He named several doctors, several wealthy local land barons, policemen, and he also named Valentina also as sort of the mastermind of this operation. 4 of the men were immediately arrested, and by 2005 or 2003, I apologize, they were put on trial and convicted. Valentina, however, was acquitted of the charges during the trial based on an alibi, which placed her out of the area during the murders.
And that was something that was, I guess, held up.
So this happened in 2003. This is 15 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, but they probably had some kind of evidence that exonerated her. At least,
well,
right?
So from my research, it seems like this is the Charles Manson defense, right? Like she had people do things, but she didn't herself do the things. Which, according to the boy who escaped, that was not true. He said that they had she was a participant.
That's crazy.
So yeah, it was. She apparently, I actually looked this up. I did a little bit more research than I normally do, and I looked up their website. This cult is still active. They're trying to recruit members. They kind of try to distance themselves from the allegations. I tried to check it out, and the site is garbage. Like you literally can't click on anything. It's like they thought the world was going to end in 1989, and that was the end of internet technology. Like no further web development was done on that.
Wow.
It's
like a Space Jam.
It's an
site?
Angel site. It's like an Angel Fire site or whatever.
Nice.
It's like legit. Like
GeoCities.
Terrible.
Can you click anywhere on it and then just do Control A and just see like where they thought links should have gone, and you can click on.
I didn't even think about like getting in there and like getting into the Dom team with the and maybe get like, we can find her. Oh,
is this part of the story or
no? This is just ooze. These are like additional
right
ooze.
there.
I didn't even
Fort Fritz investigates.
Okay, so no, yeah. So she was acquitted in 2003 and is sought by Brazilian and Argentinian police, but remains at large. Apparently, still holds several sermons in apparently Buenos Aires, Argentina.
Huh.
Wow.
That's
Still
capital,
preaching
right?
the same stuff. Still saying Jesus was an alien and boys are bad.
I don't know that. I believe that she's tried to soften the message a little bit. But yeah, the essential idea is that our religions are a farce, and that she has been given this like exclusive glimpse into what's really going to happen.
Why? Okay, number one, why does she care? And that, like, what is she getting out of this? Just to tell people she's going to be right? Or
well, no, there was like your classic cult sort of like economic exploitation of like donate X amount of your money, sell all your stuff, give it to us. Like these people were living lavish lifestyles based on the earnings they were getting from the cult members. This is all very ring sort of similar. When I actually say it all like that, it kind of sounds like weird. Maybe I don't necessarily want to I'm gonna take off the robe. I'm gonna at least gonna take off the robe.
But you look so good in it. You look so...
It's
I
pretty
popped
good.
it open.
Adorbs.
And
How
I did
you
like
get our direct measurements? It's weird.
Did you measure me?
I've been hanging out with you guys a long time now. Every time I hug, you're listening to Real Radio 104.1.
Yeah. Fort Fritz on Real Radio 104.1.
Welcome back to Fort Fritz and into our last campfire tale of the night. This one was written by yours truly, detailing the heart-stopping moments of a seafaring vessel. It's entitled The Disappearance of Kaz 2, a vessel which set off on its course from an Australian port with its occupants never to be heard from again, unsolved to this day. Let's revisit this puzzling case. Search Fort Fritz on the iHeartRadio app and help us solve this one. Have you guys heard about, no pun intended, Kaz 2?
What?
Wait, what?
Yeah, Kaz 2. It's a ghost.
There's another one of this guy? That's the most terrifying story we've ever
There's two
told
of
on the
me?
show.
That's my thing.
Oh my... Rude.
This is not an actual Kaz 2. Okay, this is
Kaz
not
2. This time it's personal.
No, this is not a Kaz 2.
Kaz 2. Electric Boogaloo.
This is not a
Yes!
Yep, that's it.
It's not a Kaz Boogaloo 2.0. It's nothing like that. It's a vessel. It's a yacht. A man with the last name of Batten. So Batten is a nautical term for what?
Batten down the hatches.
I don't know,
Yeah,
honestly.
you tie him down. You batten him down.
I have no idea. Derek Batten was 56 years old. When he bought
I worked at
Kaz,
Pirates for 13 years. I should know one or two things.
Fair enough.
when he bought Kaz 2 from an acquaintance, I guess, and decided he was going to live off of the nautical dreams of his youth, and he bought Kaz 2, which was a 9.8 meter catamaran.
Okay.
What was a catamaran?
A catamaran is kind of like, it's a schooner, but I don't know of
Pontoon
what.
boat.
Yeah, it's a multi-hull
kind
The
water
thing that
craft.
has the
Like
two
a-
ones?
Double pontoon.
It's like a pontoon boat mixed with a sailboat, kind of, because you have a little netting in between three different holes,
Netting.
and there's like nets in between them. Yeah.
That is absolutely correct. It's a multi-hulled watercraft featuring two parallel hulls of equal size. And it's a geometry stabilized craft.
I went on one in Key West
That's
that took
right.
you out to go snorkeling, and then on the way back it was all you could drink.
Yeah.
It was
Just on
awesome.
the way back, though?
Yeah, just on the way back.
I
It's
love the
'cause They
Keys.
can't have you snorkeling
That makes
drunk.
sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So
Right.
everybody's like, dive in, swim around for like 5 minutes, and like, all right, let's drink.
So what year was this? The Kaz 2?
The Kaz 2 happened in 2007.
Ooh,
That's when they
this is
found
a
it?
recent one.
Kaz 2 was first missing in April 2007.
Okay.
And Derek Batten, who was 56 at the time, bought Kaz 2. He was not in the best of shape. He was on high cholesterol medication. He had suffered a heart attack when he was 50 in 2001, this being 2007. He decided to ask his neighbors, the Tunsteads, if they would go with him on
They're named Tungsten?
a trip. Tunstead. If they would go with him on a trip to a portion of Australia, a key. So it would take just maybe a couple hours. But because his neighbors were retired, they decided it doesn't really matter how long it takes. As long as we get there, everything's going to be fine and dandy.
That should be life in retirement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just go in there.
We're going to go to an island in Australia.
Just go there.
All right.
The Kaz 2 departed Airlie Beach on April 15th, 2007, and it was headed for Queensland on like the first leg, and then it was just, it was going to wrap around. But then on April 18th, so 3 days later, it was found just adrift in the Great Barrier
3
Reef.
days later?
Yep.
Lot can
And
happen in 3 days.
somebody actually saw it and approached at a distance, didn't engage further, but they did say, quote, what they found was a bit strange in that everything was normal. There was just no sign of the crew.
That's not normal.
Well, because that boater got close to it, I have one rule, and that's never interfere with another vessel if you don't have to. As
All
a,
right.
nope, I'm not messing with them. They're not messing with me. I'm going on.
He's the anti-pirate.
Yep.
Fair enough.
So this crew of Batten and the two Tunsteads, by the way, Batten was 56. Peter Tunstead was 69 years old, and James Tunstead was 63 years old. When the boat was found, and they actually had someone lowered from a helicopter
Ooh.
to see what this situation was.
Someone just don't climb on the boat. Let's bring out an entire freaking helicopter and lower a guy in a butt bucket instead of just hopping on the damn boat.
Yeah.
Just in case there's some crazy crap, that you just get the hell out of there.
There's the fun. You
Helicopter.
jump off into the ocean. You got nothing but water.
This
Sharks. Australia's full of
Oh,
sharks.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
So this guy was delivered to the boat via helicopter, and he said it was one of the most stressful, frightening situations in his entire life because he didn't know if anyone was going to jump out at him. This is what he saw.
Wow, that sounds like a terrifying video game. Just being lowered.
They're gonna jump on me in this boat.
He revealed that the boat was in serviceable condition and was laid out as if the crew were still on board because food and flatware were set up on the tables. A laptop computer was still set up, plugged in, turned on, and the engine of the boat was still idling. He saw knives out as people were just preparing food, and that's when it hit him that at any moment he could be stabbed and could bleed out with no backup because this helicopter pretty much dropped him on.
Like, Jerry, Helicopter Jerry, can you just hover for a bit?
Yep.
I love Helicopter Jerry.
Leave the bucket there so I can jump back into it in case a murderous ghost or whatever
No,
stabs
we're out
me.
here, Bob. We're out here, Bob.
We gotta go back. No
Good
fuel.
luck.
Unfortunately, there was no one left on the boat. And there are some really wacky things with this entire setup. So, one of the Tunstead brothers had brought a video camera on board. So they were filming themselves having fun on this boat,
Oh,
right?
found footage.
Yep. But before that, the original owner of Cast 2 came over and was helping them with their route. A massive storm came in and they were off put. So they were like, it's okay. Now we're like a week behind. We're going to go out now. And then when they went out, they were immediately delayed. 2 hours later, they came back in. Their GPS wasn't working. So they don't even know how to use GPS.
Right.
The original owner shows them again, and then they go out. But at this point, the two Tunstead brothers who were retired were like, I don't care if we ever get back. Let's just go have fun, right?
Just into the ocean. Nothing bad's ever happened when people just go off willy-nilly into the ocean. Nothing bad has ever come of it. It's always a good time.
Well, when the boat was found 3 days later, the original owner of the Cast 2 was subpoenaed to testify and said, I met with them the day before they left. They seemed completely coherent. They seemed with it. They were logical. And they had a clear set course that I came up with for them. When I heard that their boat was drifting out at this location, I thought, this is really, really odd. So the original owner of the boat was cleared. There was no sign that they would be suicidal in any way. There was no sign that they would have covered up their own deaths. There was no sign that these three people, unconnected to one another outside of being close vicinity neighbors, would have planned any kind of ulterior motive.
So they were never found?
Never.
Wow.
They found that they still had fenders, which again are those like big tires or big buoys that ships drop out. They did have those fenders. Small craft regularly keep those on and do not take them off. So that was immediately one of those like non-issue kind of things. Here's the thing that gets really wacky. One of the Tunstead brothers, which again was Batten's neighbors, they were filming the entire time. So when the police get onto this vessel, they find all of this home footage. They show the last day's footage. The captain, Batten, has a hat, glasses, and a shirt. And he is waving
No pants.
to the camera.
Really Daffy Ducking it.
I'm captaining in a boat, a catamaran across the Australian Ocean or Australian Sea or whatever. I'm definitely doing it in a budgie smuggler.
So the last footage showed, and this was filmed by James Tunstead on April 15th, 10:05 a.m., the day that they all disappeared. Batten The owner of the boat was at the helm. Peter Tunstead, who is at this time 69. Peter is sitting on the aft stairway of the boat, so he is fishing. A long white rope can be seen trailing behind the boat. The engine is not running. Fenders, again, tires, can be seen hanging from safety rails on both